Call the City Council meeting to order. Pastor Hayden, would you please come forward and pray for us? We always need that.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you, oh God, for the opportunity to come and seek your face, to seek you on behalf of our city. Lord, your word says in Psalm 127, if God's grace doesn't help the builders, they will labor in vain to build a house. And if God's mercy doesn't protect the city, all the centuries will circle it in vain. So we cry out to you tonight for your mercy, for your protection, for your wisdom, and for your guidance. I thank you, Lord, for our mayor and for these city council workers, for our department heads, for our first responders in this city. And we ask, God, for your mercy. We ask for your mercy to come and protect the city. Give the leaders guidance. Give them wisdom as they make decisions this evening. Give them your understanding and give us your grace and your mercy. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Julie. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Scott, would you start us off since it's your birthday?
Thank you for your reminder. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have the approval of the minutes from the July 6th meeting.
You skipped roll call. You skipped roll call.
I'm sorry, Nina. Roll call, please.
Councilperson Alvarez.
Here.
Councilperson Podgorski.
Here.
Councilperson Geishurst.
Here.
Councilperson Clem. Councilperson Williams.
Here.
Councilperson Gully.
Here.
Councilperson Zilli.
Here.
I just want to give our condolences to Pat and his family in the loss of his father. So he's not here this evening because the funeral was today. So think of him and keep him in your prayers. Okay, now we'll have the approval of July 6th minutes.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion by Colin, seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have a presentation of the flag by Mr. Gutierrez.
Yeah, so, my name's Antonio. You're all familiar with me by now. I reside at 6998 Eisenhower Avenue. Past years, I have done 3 previous walks from Portage here to Washington, D.C. for support of cancer research and other things that we were looking to make the fight against cancer a top national priority. And last year, I decided to change it up a little bit. It just seemed like the right time for me. So I decided to walk last year from Portage to Washington, D.C. in support of the good men and women of law enforcement, and to show my support for them and appreciation for the jobs they do throughout the country, here in Portage as well, protecting our communities and serving us and everything. So this is the flag I carried to D.C. throughout the communities, all the way to Washington, D.C., and I'd like to present it to Chief. It was 654.3 miles last year's walk.
Wow.
Completed in 13 days. So here you go. Thank you for everything, and the men and women of Portage Police Department. Thank you guys for everything you do to protect our community.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Antonio.
Thank you.
Good job.
That was very nice. We have communications, correspondence, announcements from the mayor. The only thing we have tonight is a proclamation which Deb is going to read. Friday night is Relay for Life, and so she will be reading that proclamation.
City of Portage, Office of the Mayor, Portage, Indiana. Proclamation. To all whom these presents may come, greetings. Whereas the American Cancer Society is a nationwide, community-based, voluntary health organization dedicated to eliminating cancer as a major health problem through research, education, advocacy, and service. And whereas Relay for Life is the American Cancer Society's nationwide signature activity and a celebration of life where we celebrate, remember, and fight back. And whereas, since cancer never sleeps, Relay for Life teams camp out, enjoy music and family activities together while team members walk around a track, relay style, for the duration of the event. And whereas Portage residents will be joining millions of people in communities throughout the United States in organizing Relay for Life events to celebrate cancer survivors and remember loved ones who are no longer with us, and to raise much needed funds for the American Cancer Society's research grants and programs to find cures and provide community and patient support programs to help those undergoing treatment. Therefore, I, Sue Lynch, Mayor of the City of Portage, do hereby proclaim August 6th, 2021 as Portage Relay for Life Day in the City of Portage, and encourage all residents to show their support for the fight against cancer by wearing purple and to participate in the Portage Relay for Life event on Friday, August 6th, 2021 at Willow Creek Middle School beginning at 6 p.m. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the Great Seal of the City of Portage in the state of Indiana this 3rd day of August 2021.
I believe Patty Boyer is here. Do you want to come up and take the proclamation, Patty? I'll see you Friday. I have no other announcements. The clerk treasurer's report, please.
Sure. So the fund conversion is complete with the new chart of accounts, with the exception of reposting payrolls. I expect that to be done by the end of the week, early next week. August appropriation report is in Dropbox for you. And then I also wanted to talk about us rolling back to the old utility billing. We are set to do that and be fully with the old software vendor in October. Right now, there's a link on the website that is currently live. We're just kind of doing some soft testing. So if you were to pay, both links are still available. They both work. In September, we were still going to use Muni Billing, which is who we currently use, but we are going to post all of the receipts into the old new software. So we have, you know, some history right there. Just still make sure there's no kinks. And then in October, we'll be fully live. So the only downside is anyone who has automatic payments being drafted will have to re-sign up and accept the terms and conditions. It's just the law, I can't change that part. So we just wanted to slow roll it, give people plenty of time to know. We also are going to have the envelope, like an envelope stamped, you know, please open. I know I don't usually open my utility bill because it comes out automatically until I don't open it until I'm filing them away. So we just want to make sure people understand and know. And then by rolling back to the old software, we'll be able to implement the kiosks.
So Nina, will people be, the people that have automatic pay?
To re-sign up. Yeah, because you have to
right.
accept the terms.
Will you be notifying them?
Yeah,
or,
oh, yes.
I mean,
yep. So we're going to do an insert in the billing. That's why, you know, stamp the envelope, just social media, on the website, just.
so are you going to have like a thing on the outside that says important notice inside? Because I'm like you,
Right.
I know that mine's automatic, so I don't even open that envelope up.
Right.
Nina, when people signed up the first time, did we collect email addresses by any chance? Are we able to send everybody an email? No. Is there any chance we can collect that this time? So if we ever need to do something in the future, we have it?
We can try. Absolutely.
Well, the other thing too, Nina, if people, can you go on the website and sign up, or how do you sign up? Is it you can automatically sign up?
Yep.
Okay.
So when you, right now, the new revenue dashboard payment system is live on the website.
Right.
We didn't want to draw a ton of traffic because at the end of August we'll have the new website launched.
Okay.
So,
Right.
So I didn't want people to get confused or
Yeah.
anything. So yeah, so when you go in, you'll just have to have your utility account number. You'll type it in, and then you'll be able to accept the terms and move on.
Everybody will have the same account numbers that they have now?
Yes, that's all the same.
Okay. Okay. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Do you have anything else, Nina?
No, that's okay.
Thank you. We have reports from city officials. Is Chief Wilkening here? So, Chief DeYoung, are you doing the report?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So you guys all should have received a report from Chief Wilkening this afternoon. So I'm just going to hit some of the key points from there. Starting off, our emergency responses were still up from 2020. In July, we had 491, which averages out to about 16 a day. 368 of those were EMS, which is pretty typical for us. But one of the things I did look up today, that was 757 man hours. That's about an hour and a half per call. And like I said, we're running 16 calls per day because our guys, especially with COVID and everything, are having to decontaminate the rigs and clean themselves up and everything else. So they're putting in a lot of time and working really hard for us. Year to date, we're up to 3,441, which is up 21% or 663 calls from last year. So like I said, we are still running pretty hard. Mutual aid, we did still receive a mutual aid because of our call volume, and we called in other departments to help us 24 times last month. So for our dive team, they've also, as you guys are aware, started seeing increases in their call volume. They had 3 calls Sunday alone. So luckily everything turned out well, but we are seeing that increase in call volume for our dive team again. Just remind the community and everybody else that heed the warnings of the water safety. Make sure you're not going out there when the waves and riptides are going. So just be safe out there because, like I said, calls are going up. On top of that, training for July, we had 470 hours worth of training. One of our new firefighters who just started it right at the end of June completed his 2 weeks of orientation. He's now on shift, but he's not cleared to actually be counted on our account because he still has more training before he could be set out on his own. Also next week we have Porter Stark coming out. They're going to do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for all our shifts, cultural sensitivity and diversity training for all our guys. So we're pretty excited about them. Chief Wilkening teamed up with him to get that to us. Also today, the Union E-Board and Chief Kodachek went down to India. It was a peer assistance, correct? A peer assistance program that the IAFF put on. That's one of the programs that we're trying to bring in. As you guys all know, first responders have a high instance of suicide and other problems. So that's something we're trying to bring in to be able to help our own before hopefully it never gets to that. So that's another training that they're working on. On manpower, we did have one resignation. One of our probationary firefighters resigned in July. Plus, we still had a vacancy from one of our retirements. On top of that, our new firefighter that's not cleared, so we're about running 3 guys short right now. Plus, we've had some workman's comp and some major medical, so we've had a few openings out there that we've been trying to fill, and quite a bit of overtime to get those filled. With that being said, with the vacancies, we are finishing up our hiring process. We've completed the written tests, the swim test, aerial climb, and the physical agility test. This weekend, Friday, Saturday, we have interviews. We sent out 50 applications were requested, about 35 of them were sent back. And then in the process right now, we have 25 people that are interviewing with our merit board Friday and Saturday. With that, our merit board did call an emergency meeting because we do need to hire those people as soon as possible. So right after they're done interviewing on Saturday, they're going to have a meeting to create a list so that on Monday we can start that hiring process and get people going, because that process takes at least a month to get people hired from the time you call. So hopefully we'll get those spots filled pretty soon here. As far as our apparatus, our fire apparatus, we're still seeing a lot of maintenance issues. As we've talked about before, we have an aging fire fleet. Our tower truck is 25 years old, the ladder truck's 20 years old. Our engine 3 is 15 years old, and we're seeing a bunch of problems with that. It takes 2 years to build a fire truck, so between speccing it, getting bids back and everything, so definitely something we need to talk about, consider, because like I said, just the maintenance costs alone are eating up our budget, and that money could be better served going towards apparatus. We did, to help with that, our maintenance team, we have a team of 5 people that do some of the work that we're able to do in-house. Burns Harbor Fire Department held a class and a testing for emergency vehicle technician. So 5 of our guys went there, received the training, and then took the test for that. It specifically covered our fire pumps and stuff like that, so they can diagnose a lot of the stuff on that. Outside of that, April 20th of this year, actually our Turn 2 crew right here responded to a cardiac arrest, and they ended up saving this gentleman. He's a retired Chicago fireman who his father was a firefighter, and actually his son and daughter are also. Outside of that, their family reached out to Stryker. Stryker is a company that makes the CPR machine that we use. And they shot a video. I don't know if you guys have all seen it. If you guys haven't seen it, if you guys look on YouTube at Stryker Survivor Story and look for Bob Zollner, you can see the video. It shows the city in great light and our crews and our guys. Just one small example of what our guys do day in and day out. One thing I do want to point out on that, the wife started CPR immediately on him. If she did not, we don't know that the circumstances would be the same, because we had a very good response time, but still, every minute counts. So I urge the citizens and everybody to get CPR certified to at least be able to help somebody, because, like I said, every minute counts. On Tuesday, this past Tuesday, Porter County Fair, Kiwanis, along with Portage Fire Department, we were out there all day Tuesday doing safety bands on the children. As they came in the main gate, we would ask the parents if they wanted their kids safety banded. We'd write their cell phone number on the inside of the band, put it on them, and then explain to the kids if they got lost or needed help to find somebody in uniform, then they would cut it off and call that cell phone number. And I think they, when I left at 8 o'clock that night, they had called a few numbers and got them reunited. So it's an awesome program. It was free for the kids, and great safety, especially. I mean, you know how your kids could get lost real quick at the fair. You turn right, they turn left. So August 13th at 8 o'clock in the morning, we are doing a tag day for Hoosier Burn Camp. A great program down there that supports burn victims. Mayor graciously helped us with that program also. So we'll be doing a tag day out on Willow Creek in Irving on August 13th from 8 a.m. till about noon. And finally, unfortunately, sad news to finish my report. Bosco, our arson fire dog, passed away on July 13th. He was 12 and a half years old. He was in service with us for 11 and a half of those years. He completed 1,907 searches in his career, and these included a lot of convictions, including felony convictions for arson. I'd like to thank and send my condolences to Lieutenant Jeremy Hyman and his family, because obviously, yes, he was a working dog, but he was also a family dog, and they sacrificed sending Jeremy out at all times, all days, to go out and help. It wasn't just, Bosco wasn't just for the city of Portage. He helped departments across the state. And if anybody here knows him, he was a goofy little dog, but as soon as he put that badge on, he was nothing but work. And actually, he worked right until the end. He was diagnosed with cancer about a year ago, and the vet said he's a working dog, that's his purpose, and that's what drives him. So as long as he's okay with working, work him. And like I said, he worked right up to the end without any complaints or anything like that. So that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Are you planning to get another accelerant?
We have not sat down and actually had the discussion yet. The state of Indiana, I think in the last 2 years, has got an accelerant dog also. But we haven't, I mean, we're kind of trying to decompress everything before we sit down and have that discussion. So,
I had a question, sir.
Yeah.
About the 24 times that the department has had to collaborate with other departments.
Yes.
Is that due to the severity of, the fire event, or is that due to, proximity to other...
most of our mutual aid calls right now is because of EMS. As of right now, on a daily basis, we have 2 ambulances. The ambulance calls that we're getting on a daily basis is more than that. So when we have two rescue ambulances or rescues that are out, we have to call a mutual aid ambulance in to help us out for that, which is why one of the things we've been pushing for is to get more hires to get that 3rd ambulance, because that would actually allow us to cover a lot of those calls. So yeah, mainly it's EMS. Yes, on fires we'll call mutual aid in, but typically, I mean, the numbers we've been saying up here has been EMS. I think we were at 44 last month. We were calling them in like once a day. So,
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
I don't know who all got to see the striker video that you referred to. If you get an opportunity,
Yeah,
definitely watch
definitely.
it.
Like I said, it shows the city and the department in a great light. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Let's have Randy Reeder come up and tell us how he's doing with his recycling program. He's been at it.
All right, so the recycling, it's a very laborious, intensive job in auditing our entire recycling system. So June, we confiscated about 91 toters. This past month, we confiscated an additional 160, bringing that total to about 250 toters that were found in violation of the recycling policy of Portage. I did propose a letter that's already gone out to Minuteman. It's going to be mailed out through via snail mail to about 16,000 households or mailboxes. Some of those are like the rentals, but there's no way of excluding some of those. We got about 11,800 homes throughout Portage, so we had to go the whole city wide. But it's good. It's an educational pamphlet. It explains the letter, and then on the very back of it, it's going to be in orange. I know this is white, but in orange. On the back side, it's going to have our most recent policy for recycling, and it will have a do not throw in list, and when in doubt, throw it out. So right now, Republic Services has suspended the city's recycling policy because of the contamination. within the recycling. So until we bring our recycling back to standards where they could start accepting it again, this will continue to be audited in our neighborhoods. I don't know if anyone has any precise questions in our auditing service. We do go pick a neighborhood, we do document, we do inspect the toters one by one. That's the only way to do it. When we do find a toter that's in violation, we take pictures, we have a communications letter, we fill it out, we take it up to the door of the resident, and it's clearly marked what was in there. And they do usually email us or give us a call, or we don't hear any communication from them at all. So, but that's most cases where no communication is back to the department. So we have found grass clippings, we have found regular yard waste. We've even found a toter full of dirt. Dirt's not recyclable, folks, so please, no dirt in the toter. So, councilors.
Yeah, how many of the ones we have confiscated have contacted us wanting their toter back and agreeing that they will follow the rules?
I would say maybe about a dozen.
That's what I
About a dozen. And there is a $50 reinstatement fee that we do charge the residents. So it's not a fine, it's a reinstatement fee for processing, for making up the, recouping the loss, wages, processing, stuff like that, so.
Randy,
Yes.
we're going to send the letter out. You're also going to post that on social media. So we're going to get it on Streets page and the city's government page.
Yes.
Can we post some of those pictures of what are in those toters as examples to folks to say this is not?
Yes, I'm working on a document right now to do that. It'll be like a little video format, 1 minute, so it'll go through all that. I also plan on showing it at the next council meeting.
Okay.
So it's quite not done right now, so,
Right.
but that'll stay on our website as well and Facebook page. So last month for the recycling, there's 0. For the MSW tons, that's our regular trash tonnage, we did about 1,565 tons we collected. There was almost 50 tons at the dumpster. So with the total cost to the city with our landfill costs, it was $97,168.21. So when we're not collecting the recycling and offsetting that, and that recycling is being landfilled, it is an added expense to the taxpayer. So, but I want to encourage everyone to keep recycling, keep using the green lid toter, and put the proper material in there, because we will get past this and we will get back in compliance. So that is my goal.
Randy, another question.
Yes.
So when we have new homes that are being built in the city, do we hand anything out to new homeowners about what you can and cannot put in recycling? I know a lot of people are
Yes.
coming from not Portage, they're coming from other communities.
Well, with the sanitation department, we've developed a new policy. We only give out a black lid toter to new homes. So if the resident wants to request a green lid toter, they'll email us or call us. We do have a standard form that they fill out. We communicate the policy well to them so they understand. They sign that form telling us that they're going to abide by that policy, and then we deliver a green lid toter to that residence.
So Randy, how do we encourage them to recycle then? If they don't think about it and they don't ask.
Usually they see the green lids throughout their neighborhood.
Throughout the neighborhood, so
and
it's just a
they
word
start
of mouth
asking.
then.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like new neighborhoods, like the new Lennar subdivision, maybe spending a day going through, knocking on doors. Hey, would you like a green lid toter? Here's how you get it, and just get it done.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when someone closes on a house and moves in, it's all set up without them coming to the office too.
Right.
So.
And, you know, when they come into your office for things to pay for permits and things like that, can't they get a copy of that too that says that we offer a recycling program and these are the guidelines? Contact the street department?
Yeah, I mean, as we roll back to the old new billing software, I mean, that's something we can pay very minimal. We're already paying postage to go to all the homes, and we can have an insert. another thing that we'll be able to do with that billing software too is combine, we have a lot of, different landlords throughout the city. With the current system, each residence gets a bill of each property. With the old new system, we can combine them and get one bigger packet. So it does save, we've spent a lot on construction.
So I have a question for Nina that kind of goes along with this. So we don't have any kind of a welcoming packet to new homeowners?
No, not really.
We need it.
And then
Everything
how do
that
you
you
get
can
it to
think
them?
of.
I mean, just I
Right.
guess when you change
The chamber
service,
used to
but-
send something. I remember the chamber used to
Yeah.
send something, but I think they stopped doing it. So it'd be interesting to see if we can get something going to send the new homeowners. Here are park programs, here's information about recycling. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that we could put in a packet.
Nina, if you need some help with that, I'd be glad to sit down with you and develop a welcoming packet. Yeah,
We talked about that.
that has crossed my mind on several occasions. We just need to take the action.
Could almost make it into like the magazine booklet.
Yeah, something,
Just
yeah.
automatically mail it to new residents. Something to put everything in front of them at one time.
I got some from Kokomo a
Okay.
couple weekends ago, and it's really nice. So maybe we can mirror that.
What about, I know we have a lot of duplexes or fourplexes. Many times the landlords pay the bill and then charge, bills totally separate. Is there something that, like when they get new tenants, they can provide them with the list?
We do have a small packet that we do send out email-wise, and I've been in communication with some of the landlords, and they are adding those to their lease agreements. So,
Okay, thank you.
Perfect timing.
to bring you up to speed on our CNG grants, that's still in the process. So I do have a meeting with South Shore Clean Cities this Thursday at 1 p.m. to give me an update. So I'll report that immediately to the mayor as soon as I get that update. So.
Any other questions for Randy? Thank you, Randy.
Okay, one other thing, just prayers and thoughts with one of our families.
Yes.
John Thurman, his daughter is having great medical complications, so just keep the Thurman family in your prayers and thoughts. There is a GoFundMe page. You could easily research that on Facebook and run across his name, and there's a GoFundMe page for them. So just keep them in prayer. So certainly.
There's also a meal train page for them if you want to give them like a Grubhub gift certificate or something. There is a meal train page. I can send you the link to it if anybody wants that too.
Her name is Jordan. She's 14 years old.
Jordan?
Okay.
Thanks, Randy. Did you have an update today on her?
Actually, the newest Facebook page that was updated, there was another clot within the heart, and that disappeared. So they're no longer concerned with that. She's actually doing quite well right now. I forgot what children's hospital she's in too. But
She's at Lurie, I think.
yeah, Lure, yes. So, okay.
Very good.
Keep us posted, Randy.
Thank you, Randy.
Chief Candiano?
Hello. How you guys doing? Good. All right.
I'm fine. I don't know.
Come on, let's get some excitement here.
I'm shaking my head, yes.
Yes, it's a birthday.
All right, so had a couple things on here, but first wanted to thank you again for the flag. Kind of brings me to another point. You know, the last year and a half, a lot of things have been going on in the country. We've seen a lot of communities that have had a lot of disconnect between their police force, the citizens, things like that. I would say that during that time, we've been very fortunate here within the city with the response from the community, the relationship there. Obviously, we have a job to do. Not everybody's always happy to see us, but we have not experienced a lot of the things that some of the other communities have. So I will thank those in the community that have been there and supported us like you did today. So didn't have that on my list, but it definitely triggered that thought. So thank you again. So for our call volume numbers for July, our total incidents were 3,352. That's an average of 108 incidents per day. So year to date, our total incidents are at 20,898, which comes out to about 99 a day. So I also pulled last year, at this time, we were at 18,578, which was about 88 a day, so about 11 more a day. And again, last year, every month I come up here and say last year was a little goofy, but obviously we are running a lot more than we were last year. So our staffing, we currently have 3 officers out on workman's comp, 3 out on major illness, 2 that just started the police academy here in Hobart this week. We have 1 officer in field training. We have 1 that needs to be hired. And we have 1 that we believe is leaving for other employment. They're just waiting for that job offer. So that's bad news. The good news is we did recently release 2 officers to solo patrol from their field training. So I've been talking about how we had 3 in field training for the last couple months. 2 of those are now out there on their own, so that's a big boost. So we've also actually gotten a couple back from illnesses and things. So I'm going to knock on wood and say we're trending in the right direction now. We still do have 1 detective working in patrol and 1 officer from the drug unit. Hopefully things continue to go in a positive manner and we can get them back to their normal assignments. So that being said, we do have a hiring process going on right now. We've given out a total of 27 applications. Wish there were more, but that's where we're at right now. I think we're 2 weeks into it. Last day for the apps is August 13th, so that's the last day they're going to go out. So if anybody's listening or anybody is listening who knows somebody wants to apply, please come and apply. They get the applications at our police department, or if you're out of town or something, contact us. We'll make arrangements to get you an application. So just so you all know, we've talked before about how we were getting the word out. We're currently advertising in a bunch of areas: social media, print and digital media, the academy websites, local radio. We contacted all the colleges and universities, local organizations. I believe the YMCA's got some stuff out there, some different people, and we went to all the churches. The problem is that everybody's hiring right now. Several of our Porter County agencies have just gone through hiring processes. I got on ILEA, the State Academy's website this morning. There's currently 25 agencies in the state that are hiring with multiple positions. So it's just, everybody needs somebody right now. If you look at the country in general, there's a lot of places that are looking for employees, and we just happen to be another one of them. So confident we'll get what we need out of the ones that have applied or will apply, but just that's kind of an update on that. So I got 2 more things here at the end that are a little bit of presentation type stuff. Do you guys have any questions on what I gave you so far? Okay. Hey, can you give me a hand? Can you wheel the bike over here for us? And Mr. Wagner. Are you help out, Mark? All right. So I think it was back in May, Councilman Williams got a hold of me and told me that he had been contacted by Mr. James Wagner here. Said that he wanted to make a donation to the police department, and I needed to get a hold of him. So, I thought he was going to do something, nice gesture, something like that. So I called him, and he told me that he had already purchased one of these bikes for us. I'm not going to embarrass him and tell you how much they are, but you can look them up, and it's a heck of a donation. So obviously we made the arrangements, and he ended up delivering it to us. I think it was in July. I think it's about the time, or the end of June, somewhere in there. So first, let me tell you about the bike. These things are awesome. So basically, they're battery operated. They can work like a conventional bike or like a power bike. So basically, they've got a motor that runs them too. So you can run it either way or like a hybrid. You can pedal and have the assistance. So it sounds cool, but it's also pretty practical. So what it allows for us to do, especially if we're on the bike trails, is get from point A to point B faster. So if there had been an emergency on the bike trail and we had somebody in Camelot and they had to pedal all the way to Imagination Glen, they better get trucking. This thing can move and it can get there much faster. So it allows us to get from point A to point B a lot faster. The other thing it allows for a lot more public engagement. Some of the officers here have rode them. It draws attention. People want to engage, want to talk about it. It's also, the ATVs are nice. They're kind of loud. You can't really have a conversation with somebody on the trail. This is just another bike out there where we can really get involved with the public. So it's awesome. And then in addition to that, something that we can do is get into the neighborhoods, start doing neighborhood patrols. So, you know, maybe if it's summer, there's a lot of people out, we can take these in there, you're out, you're about, and you can interact with the public and respond to calls if you were there. So we are extremely, extremely grateful for the donation. Like I said, we've already gotten a heck of a lot of use out of these. It's awesome. So I had never met Mr. Wagner before, but I've been told that he taught for Portage Township Schools for 40 years, which is amazing. I'm humbled by the fact that he just wanted to give something back to us and help us out, because it's amazing, and we're getting a lot of use out of it. So thank you. I don't know if you want to say anything or. Have at it.
Thank you very much. My wife and I had discussed something that we could give back perhaps to the city of Portage, particularly with the unrest that's going on, not necessarily in our community, but throughout the nation. And maybe this would work perhaps as a moral support, and to show that the community is behind the police, so, and other departments as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and then the last thing I've got is I'm going to have Officer Smith and Bowling come up here. They're a little shy, so. Okay, so I got a letter from Lieutenant Williams a couple weeks ago, and I'm just going to kind of go through the letter here real briefly. On July 13th, 2021, at approximately 10:39 p.m., dispatch gave out a call to Burns Harbor Police Department of a subject who had suffered a severed arm, basically was an incident working on a train in Burns Harbor area. So for those of you who aren't aware, we're on the same radio frequency as Burns Harbor and Ogden Dunes Police Departments. So if there's a call that's, you know, up north, sometimes they'll come help us if we're busy, and vice versa. Sometimes we'll go there. If they're shorthanded, they obviously have a smaller police department than we do. So some emergencies, we respond, you know, mutual aid as the fire department does. So they hear the call. Apparently, from what I'm understanding, is there was some confusion on the exact location of the victim. Given the seriousness of it, the fact they were trying to find him, Lieutenant Williams sends our 2 officers up there. So when they arrive, as they arrived, there were other officers on scene. Burns Harbor medics were arriving on scene, but they hadn't located the person yet. Nothing was being done to help treat them. Obviously, this is a major, major catastrophic injury, so time is of the essence. So our officers located the victim. At that time, he had a coworker using a belt as a makeshift tourniquet, but it was still bleeding heavily. Officer Bowling took over, firmly holding the belt in place, while Officer Smith pulled out his issued tourniquet, and they simultaneously switched out the belt with the tourniquet around the remaining limb, securing it in place. They then assisted in loading the victim into the ambulance for further treatment prior to being flown out on a medical flight. So, in Lieutenant Williams' words, I am convinced, if not for the action of our officers, the victim would have bled out and died. The quick response by our officers and their immediate decision to not wait to be told what to do likely saved the victim's life. So, basically, based on this, we nominated him these officers for a life-saving award, which was obviously unanimously agreed upon by our awards committee. So, unbeknownst to me or any of us, after we had already done that process, I got a letter from the coworker. I just got this the other day. Basically says that he was there, he saw the accident happen, he was the one who got out the belt, he was doing the best he could. Our officers came, and he states in here that by all means he believes that they saved his coworker's life. Says that the gentleman's got a long road ahead of him, but he's doing as well as can be, and so he wanted us to recognize you, which we were already going to do, but he didn't even know the officers' names, so he wanted us to be aware. But it's kind of cool that he also reached out. So, you know, we go to a lot of different calls, we deal with a lot of stuff, but and certainly the Portage Fire Department, the Portage Police Department are involved in saving lives daily, but I felt like this was something that I just wanted to take the advantage of to recognize them publicly here in front of you all. So, so I've got basically certificates here for them. For Officer Andrew Smith, it's a life-saving award. and I'll leave you with this. I believe both of these officers have, what do you have, 2 years and 3 years? So we talk about how we're a young department, and we're losing a lot of veterans, but we're hiring new people. So we've got a 2-year and a 3-year officer here who, did the job tremendously out in the field. So we're proud of them. So that's all I got. So
Thank you. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
take my bike. And I'm not gonna ride.
Superintendent Wilkie.
Good evening. A few updates on parks. Unfortunately, we're already talking about fall sports and programs. The registration for our fall adult softball, youth soccer, and indoor adult volleyball are now open. We are still planning to offer the indoor youth volleyball program this fall. We're just finalizing some details and dates with the tournament director. The office staff is very excited and has started planning for our annual haunted hayride already. They're planning on how they're going to decorate and how many scenes we're going to have. This is an event that truly takes every employee we have on staff to put on, but it is one of the most fun and rewarding. We are in need of groups to man scary scenes for the weekend. Participants can earn up to $350 for their organization by participating, and it's a lot of fun as well. If anyone is interested, they can contact the park office for more information. The event will take place during the fall break, which is October 21st through 23rd, here at Woodland Park. We will host 2 more wine and canvas events this year, one in September and one in December. Registration is open for those as well. We are now accepting vendor applications for our Harvest Festival, which is the first Saturday in October, and for our annual Christmas craft show in December. The Market Music on the Square will continue every Friday through the end of August, and our final movie is this Friday. We will be showing Karate Kid. Our music in the park will continue through the end of August, and our cruise nights will continue every Tuesday here at Woodland Park through the rest of the season. The cruisers like to come out until it gets too cold to do so. We offered 4 weeks of summer camp this year. We had a great turnout for each week. Each week was a different theme. That was a lot of fun for the kids. Our staff is decreasing in size once again as we are losing a lot of our seasonal employees due to returning to college and high school. So we are still hiring part-time labor because as we're losing those, we still have a need at least through November. Amy and I are registered to attend the IPRA conference in Muncie this November. A couple of fun facts. We spread enough playground mulch this year to cover Soldier Field 2.5 inches deep, and we sold over 20,000 concession items so far this year, and we still have a couple months left to go. Lastly, something very exciting. We were chosen by the National Softball Association as a host site for the World Series again this summer. We hosted the 18U division this time. We received a thank you letter this morning from Bill Horton, the president and CEO of NSA, thanking our department for the excellent job with our facilities and for the treasured partnership between Portage Parks and NSA. We are proud that NSA BPA continue to host many tournaments with us each year. We are already booked all of next year with those tournaments again. Also, we have been informed that we are being inducted into the NSA Indiana Hall of Fame class of 2021 in November. This is quite an honor. I just want to thank our entire park staff, from the office members to the concession staff, and of course the maintenance staff, who works tirelessly to make sure that everything is ready and maintained for all of these tournaments and events. It truly takes everyone working together for these events to run smoothly, and we appreciate their hard work.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lori.
Did anybody have any questions for Lori?
I actually had one.
You can't leave.
You almost got away.
Yes,
And it's the
answers.
most important one. It's, is the Karate Kid movie the remake or the original?
Good question. You know what? Amy's not here to answer that, but it's a flashback year, so I'm going to bet you it's the original one.
Okay, thank you. Classic.
Yes. Anything else?
Thanks, Lori.
You're right, Ferdinand, that was an important question.
Most important question that'll be asked tonight.
Okay, I think that's all the department heads we have here tonight. So we are going to move on to reports from standing committees.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. The Ordinance Committee did meet at their regular time at 5 p.m. We had a pretty aggressive agenda. I'll just summarize some of the topics. We are going to be making a recommendation on an amendment, an amended smoking ordinance this evening. Will be presented as stated on the agenda, ordinance number 2108. We had a very spirited discussion on the mobile food vendors. I want to thank Lori Wilkie, Superintendent Wilkie, for attending. They already have some guidelines in place that we're trying to mirror so we don't duplicate our effort here. And so we're going to adopt some guidelines and rules on the civil city side that I think will mirror very closely with what the parks are doing. Clerk Treasurer Rivas also participated in that discussion. And so our plan is to work on it in one more meeting in September, right, Deb? And then be prepared to introduce that ordinance out of committee in October. We also talked about an issue that has come about regarding contractors and utility bills. I'm not going to go into the details this evening. This was brought to our attention from Clerk Treasurer Rivas' office. There is an issue in terms of timely payments of utility bills with contractors, particularly when they're flipping houses. So we're going to develop an ordinance to address that particular situation. And finally, we did review with Clerk Treasurer Rivas the ordinances that are on the agenda this evening, ordinances 2109 through 2114, and making a favorable recommendation out of Ordinance Committee that we support and pass those ordinances as they're read this evening. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
So from the Budget Committee, I'm waiting on one more thing from the Police Department, and then I will send out an email getting some dates when the rest of the committee and Nina, we can all sit down and start talking about it and get this budget hopefully ready early. That would be the plan.
Do we want to set the budget dates, hearing and adoption? We can do it next month.
Let's do it next month.
And just to let everybody know, we did receive our stimulus check, right, Nina?
Yes.
And the stimulus committee will be meeting next Tuesday at 1:30 to look at things we might be doing with the stimulus money. What was the amount of that, Nina? Do you know?
$4,100,000. I can pull it up. If
Okay,
you want.
no, that's fine. 4.1 million. Okay?
We had redistricting. We haven't done anything yet. Of course, we've been waiting for census data, which hasn't been released yet. It's late, obviously, because of the pandemic last year, but the first drop of data should be mid-August, or yeah, in about 2 weeks. So it's going to be in a legacy format. I don't know what that means. If we're able to use it, we should be able to schedule a meeting maybe in September, so I can announce a date at the next meeting. If it's not, then the rest of the data will be released in September, so then we'd have a meeting in October. So it shouldn't be too hard if we need to make any changes at all. A little growth, a little shrinkage, so we'll see.
Colin, I know you've been working on that too. Did you have any?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, we'll go to unfinished business. There is none. New business, Colin, resolution 21-15.
Yes, Gina, could you go ahead and please read that?
Okay. Resolution 2115, a resolution canceling outstanding checks. Whereas pursuant to IC 511-10.5, all checks outstanding and unpaid for a period of 2 years as of December 31st of each year shall be declared canceled. Not later than March 1st of each year, the clerk treasurer shall prepare a list in duplicate of all checks outstanding for 2 or more years as of December 31st of the preceding year. The original copy shall be filled in the common council and the duplicate copy maintained by the clerk treasurer.
Whereas the clerk treasurer shall enter the amounts so listed as receipt to the fund or funds upon which they were originally drawn, and remove the checks from the list of the outstanding checks. If the fund from which the check was originally drawn is not in existence or cannot be ascertained, the amount of the outstanding check shall be receipted into the general fund of the city. Therefore, be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Portage do hereby cancel the outstanding warrants listed here. And
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Is there any discussion? If not,
Nina, could you just briefly explain this?
Yes, so
thank you.
this was a pretty hefty voiding of canceled checks, or canceling voided checks. So we had outstanding checks. I'm required to keep an outstanding checklist for, in order to reconcile bank accounts. These checks go back to 2013 through 2017. So normally it's done every year. You go back 2 years. So we just had a lot of catching up to do. So this allowed the general fund to realize an additional 2005, approximately $205,000, end of year 2020, because we were trying to clean it up in the same year. And not as much in the rest. The total amount is $219,118.70 on 2020 books.
so Nina, I have a question in there. Do you contact these people if the check was issued to?
No, oftentimes the check will be reissued. It just didn't get voided, or it was lost in the mail. It was put, a stop payment may have been put on it, but it was never cleaned up on the book side.
So we have a $201,000 check.
Right. Like that's. So that went into the general fund because that debt service is in. But we didn't miss it.
I understand.
So we have
They got their money, it's just this
Yeah.
is,
I
yeah.
understand.
I'm sure they came knocking when they didn't get
Right.
their check.
And it doesn't make sense because oftentimes usually we do ACH wire transfers, so
Right.
I wasn't there.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We have the introduction of ordinances 21-09.
And Attorney Wenton, so there's 5 of these, 6 of these. My plan was to read them all, do one motion to suspend all of them, and then a motion to adopt for each of them.
That would be fine.
Okay. So Scott, can you take ordinances 9 and 10, please?
Yes. Ordinance 2109, an ordinance of the City of Portage establishing a capital assets threshold. Whereas the Indiana State Board of Accounts requires units of local government to set a minimum threshold for the value of property that is to be listed on the capital assets ledger. Therefore, be it resolved that the threshold for the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana's capital assets ledger is hereby set at $5,000, and that all city assets, real and personal property, including land, easements, buildings, building improvements, vehicles, machinery, equipment, books, works of art and historical treasures, infrastructure, construction work in progress, and all other tangible or intangible assets that are used in operations and that have initial useful lives extending beyond a single reporting period. Originally purchased for or currently valued at $5,000 or more will be listed on the city's capital assets ledger. Let the record reflect that this ordinance 2109 has been read in its entirety. Ordinance 21-10, an ordinance of the City of Portage establishing a cash change fund. Whereas the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana recognizes funds shall be available for the purpose to make change when collecting cash revenues as provided by IC 36-1-8-2, and whereas the clerk treasurer is the custodian of the fund, and whereas such a fund is established by a warrant drawn on the appropriate fund, and therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Portage does hereby establish a cash change fund in the amount of $300. Be it therefore resolved that the cash change fund will be operated in a manner consistent with IC 36-1-8-2 and the Indiana State Board of Accounts Accounting and Uniform Compliance Guidelines Manual for cities and towns. Let the record reflect that this Ordinance 2110 has been read in its entirety.
And then Brian, could you please take 11 and 12, please?
Ordinance 21-11, an ordinance of the City of Portage establishing a petty cash fund. Whereas the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana recognizes funds should be available for the purposes of paying small or emergency items of operating expense as provided by IC 36-1-8-3. And whereas the clerk treasurer is the custodian of the fund, now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Portage hereby establish a petty cash fund in the amount of $100, and be it further resolved that all small cash purchases from and replenishes to this fund will follow procedures outlined in IC 36-1-8-3 and the Indiana State Board of Accounts Accounting and Uniform Compliance Guidelines Manual for cities and towns. Let the record reflect that this has been read in its entirety. Ordinance 21-12, an ordinance of the City of Portage authorizing a fee to be charged for checks returned due to insufficient funds. Whereas the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana has charged a fee by its financial institutions for checks written to the city and returned due to insufficient funds, and therefore be it resolved that a fee charged to the city shall be collected from the check issuer. This fee shall be collected in cash, money order, or cashier's check, and shall be in the amount of the bank's insufficient funds fee plus the original amount of the check. Let the record reflect that this has been read in its entirety.
Okay, I will go ahead and read 21-13, an ordinance of the City of Portage, Indiana, amending section 82-82B of the Municipal Code entitled Excessive Strength Sanitary Surcharge Rates. Be it, and it is hereby ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage as follows. Ordinance 1, or Section 1, Ordinance Amendment, Chapter 82, Article 2, Division 4, Section 82, Subsection B, entitled Excessive Strength Sanitary Surcharge Rates shall be amended by replacing the existing text in its entirety with the following new text. Excessive strength sanitary surcharge rates, industrial customers or customers requiring a state or local pre-treatment permit whose surcharge parameter test exceeds the surcharge limits stated below, will be charged an excessive strength surcharge fee. This surcharge fee will be charged for each pound of pollutant over the surcharge limit. The fee will be charged for each parameter on each day the surcharge limit has been exceeded. The fee will be charged for each day of discharge until the ensuing test results are below the surcharge limit. For example, if the parameter is not tested for 3 days after the first event, the user will be charged for each day until it is tested again, provided that the next testing is below the surcharge limit. Excessive strength, surcharge parameters, and the charge per pound. Carbonaceous biological oxygen demand in excess of 300 milligrams per liter, 31 cents. Total suspended solids in excess of 30 milligrams per liter, 26 cents. Ammonia in excess of 30 milligrams per liter, 53 cents. Phosphorus in excess of 8 milligrams per liter, $2.42. The excessive strength sanitary surcharge rate shall increase by 3% on January 1 of each year. Let the record reflect this has been read in its entirety. Ordinance 21-14, an ordinance of the City of Portage amending Chapter 70, Article 3 of the City of Portage Municipal Code entitled Solid Waste. Be it, and it is hereby ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, as follows. Section 1, amendment of Section 70-56B. Section 70-56B shall be amended by replacing billed and collected by the Utility Service Board with billed and collected by the Clerk Treasurer's Office. Section 2, amendment of Section 70-56C. Section 70-56C shall be amended by replacing shall be deposited in the City General Fund with shall be deposited in the City Sanitation Fund. Section 3, addition of new section 70-57. Chapter 70 shall be further amended by the addition of new section entitled Creation of Fund, which shall read as follows. Section 70-57, Creation of Fund. There is hereby established the sanitation fund, which shall be a non-reverting fund. All revenues and fees collected for the trash fees shall be deposited in the sanitation fund. Disbursements from this fund shall be approved in the regular legal manner. Funds shall be used exclusively to pay for the expenses incurred by the Department of Sanitation. The fund shall be perpetual until terminated or amended by subsequent ordinance of the Common Council. Upon termination of the fund, the balance thereof shall revert to the general fund. Let the record reflect this has been read in full. I will make a motion to suspend on ordinances 21-9, 21-10, 21-11, 21-12, 21-13, and 21-14.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now we're going to do these individually.
Yep. So I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 21-8. I'm sorry, 21-9.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 21-9. Is there any further discussion?
Nina, could you just provide a?
Sure, so this is something that the city likely has in the form of a resolution, which is very hard to search. I don't know how a city this old wouldn't have one, but we're required, especially with the move to gap reporting, to have a solid capital assets threshold and just capital assets ledger. So this just gets us, make sure we're in compliance and puts it into municipal code. And the state board recommends it at a minimum of $5,000. That's the threshold.
Are there any further questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion to adopt ordinance 21-10.
Second.
We have motion and a second to adopt ordinance 21-10. Is there any further discussion? Nina?
Sure. So we already have this, but it's the proper process wasn't done when it was originally established. So how it works is, as the municipal officer or financial officer, the city would write me a check for the $300. I would cash it, put the cash into the change drawer, cash change drawer to make change. So someone comes in and pays for a permit that's $150, they pay with $100, I need to be able to make change. Upon me leaving and not being the fiscal officer, I would then take the cash, write a check to the city for the $300 to reimburse. Then the new fiscal officer would be issued a check. They would cash it. Same cycle. So because I'm the custodian of the cash, so you're handling cash.
And this is standard.
Standard.
So how often do you reconcile that, Gerard?
Every day.
Every day? Good. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you for explaining.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 21-11.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Nina, back to you.
Back to you.
So this officially establishes a petty cash fund, something that is already done, but it's just not accounted for. So it still follows the same processes that normal claims would. It's just in a hurry. So say someone needs to purchase stamps, or the mail lady comes and you owe for postage or something. We can pay for it with cash on hand and the petty cash, and then do a claim for it. So when the funds are dwindling, okay, well, we're going to process the claims and then refund the amount that's been paid out to keep it at 100.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Ordinance 21-12.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 21-12.
Second.
We have motion and a second to adopt ordinance 21-12.
Yep. So this is something that we already do, but just in trying to build a policy and procedure manual, there's nothing in writing directing my office to do this. So if we get charged a bank fee if someone writes a check to the city and it bounces, we do go collect from whoever wrote the check and collect the fee, but there's nothing formally in writing really allowing us to do that.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Ordinance 21-13.
Make a motion to adopt 21-13.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Nina, I can explain this one if you want. So the ordinance amends a section of the existing code. The only difference is ammonia in the ordinance from 2017. There was a scrivener's error. It said in excess of 300 milligrams per liter.
The 2017 ordinance was correct. When it was rewritten and amended in 2019 is when it was.
Thank you. There was a scrivener's error. It said 300 milligrams per liter of ammonia. That was supposed to be 30. So the plant caught it. We are going to fix that.
Okay.
Good catch.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 21-13. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Ordinance 21-14.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Anybody want to explain that, please?
So we took the sanitation department out of the general fund and created a sanitation fund. It absolutely makes sense because it is a revenue funded department. Down the road, this may allow them to, to bond for revenue bonds. It just makes sense. So we established it with the budget, but we never formally amended the code and created the fund already. Right?
And this will also, Nina, give us a better insight into the sanitation department with their revenue
Correct.
versus their expenses.
Absolutely.
And if they have excess, it's not being spread around everywhere else. It's their funds from the trash fee.
Right, because otherwise it would just revert to the general fund.
Are there any other questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We have a second reading of ordinance 21-08.
Deb, you gonna read that? Colin?
Yeah.
Well, I think you're supposed to make a motion to amend first. Yeah. We got it. We're amending it first from the ordinance committee, then we'll read the amended ordinance.
All right, you want to make that motion? Okay. The ordinance committee reviewed the smoking ban language, ordinance number 2108. We're making a recommendation to amend the original ordinance, and with that amendment, go ahead and read that, Deb.
You have to make a motion to amend, we have to vote on it, and then we'll read the
I'll
ordinance.
second it.
No. Dan said we don't, but.
Oh, we don't?
You
Just read it?
You can always make any changes throughout the first and second reading, the second reading will.
Okay.
Okay.
And we'll read. Ordinance number 21-08. This ordinance repeals and replaces Chapter 42, Environment, Article 1 of the Municipal Code. Be it, and it hereby is ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Indiana as follows. Article 1, Non-Smoking Areas. Section 42-1, Definitions. The following definitions shall be applicable for purposes of this article. City means the City of Portage, Indiana. Public building means an enclosed structure or partially enclosed structure that is owned, leased, or occupied by the city or its agencies. Public place means any outdoor area that is outside a public building except where a designated smoking area is clearly indicated, any park within the city limits except where there may be a designated smoking area that is clearly indicated, and except any parking lot, street, or sidewalk within the park. Vehicle means any city-owned or leased vehicle. Smoking means the inhalation or exhalation of smoke from a lighted cigarette, cigar, pipe, or any other lighted smoking equipment or device, which includes any electronic cigarette. Section 42-2, Prohibition of Smoking in Public Buildings. Smoking shall be prohibited in the city in all public buildings as defined by Section 42-1, Section 42-3, Prohibition of smoking in public places. Smoking shall be prohibited in all public places as defined by Section 42-1. unless there is a specifically designated smoking area that has been clearly established and identified by the city. Any designated smoking area must be at least 8 feet from any entrance or exit of any public building as defined in section 42-1. An appropriate container shall be provided and maintained by the city at such locations where smoking is allowed outside of a public building in order to avoid the accumulation of cigarettes and ash. Smoking is not prohibited in any parking lot, sidewalk, or street within a public park. Section 42-4, prohibition of smoking in city vehicles. Smoking shall be prohibited in all city leased or owned vehicles. Section 42-5, posting of signs. The official in charge of any public building shall post conspicuous signs that read, "Smoking is prohibited within 8 feet of this entrance or exit," pursuant to the City of Portage Municipal Code. The official in charge of any area that the city deems to be a valid designated smoking area outside of a public building shall post a conspicuous sign that reads, "Designated smoking area." Section 42-6, violations and penalties. A, the official in charge of a public building, place, or vehicle shall request anyone in violation of this article to cease smoking and may remove anyone who fails to comply. B, a person who violates section 42-2, 42-3, or 42-4 shall be subject to a fine as provided by section 1-16 of the city's municipal code.
Motion to adopt.
Not done yet.
I'm not done yet, Scott.
Okay.
There's another section, sorry.
Sorry.
Section
Apologize.
42-7, other applicable laws. This chapter shall not be interpreted to permit smoking where it is otherwise restricted by other applicable laws. This chapter shall also not be interpreted to prohibit any other property owner from imposing any smoking ban that is more restrictive than this chapter. Now you.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I have a question. Yeah. Are there designated smoking areas in all of these public places now or not?
Some of the parks. Woodland has one. City Hall has one. I think the police department has one, right?
Straits has one.
There's a smoking receptacle at the police department. I can confirm that. I don't know if it's a designated smoking area.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, Nina, call the roll, please.
Councilperson Pugorski?
Yes.
Councilperson Alvarez?
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli?
Yes.
Councilperson Gully?
Yes.
Councilperson Geisers?
Yes.
Councilperson Williams?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Petitions, remonstrances, and public input will be taken at this time. If you wish to make a comment, please step to the microphone, give your name, address, and you have 2 minutes, please.
So I gave my name and address earlier. That's still on the record, I'm guessing. Basically, everything you guys just said in this smoking ordinance you had is already included in the state law. So what did you guys accomplish with this?
Outdoor parks is not included.
You know,
Norwood
I
City
said
Games.
almost everything.
Yeah, Norwood
You know,
City Games.
it's-
I'm just
I know,
making clear.
I know. I mean, when I started with ACSCAN as a volunteer years ago, one of the first things I volunteered for was the statewide smoking ban. I went down there and lobbied and advocated for that. And everything you guys just said, minus a few things, is already included in the state law. So you guys just made an ordinance pretty much for nothing.
Good evening, guys. I'm Emily Carpenter. I grew up in Portage at 5955 Sunrise Avenue. And I also have a nonprofit that my family started in honor of my father, based out of Portage, Indiana, that gives away scholarships at Portage High School and helps students that are dealing with life-altering or terminal illnesses. I am now the youth facilitator and outreach specialist for the Tobacco Education Prevention Coalition of Porter County. The Breathe Easy Portage campaign urged the council to pass a strong smoke-free air ordinance that would close these gaps that the state leaves out. The introduced language would have done that and protected Portage residents and employees from harmful secondhand smoke. But the amended language does not do any more to protect lives than the state law does, and the Tobacco Education and Prevention Coalition in Portage County cannot support this amended language. We hope that in the future, you can reconsider passing a smoke-free air ordinance that protects all Portage residents. Until then, our coalition members will continue to advocate for safer policies to be put in place, including myself, until it's done. Our coalition has resources for those of you listening that want to quit smoking and vaping. If you want to find us on Facebook, search for us online, talk to me. We're not here to just get something passed. We're not here because that's what we think we should be doing. We're here to protect people. We're here to educate people against secondhand smoke and other things that can harm you that way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Are there
Motion
any other matters to come before this council? If not, I will call for an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries.